So for this, I'm going to go over the pre-lab, most of which you probably know how to do, but I'll walk you through it. I'm going to save number 2 for the end because that's going to be your data table, so you'll see that at the end. So we'll start with number 1, writing the solubility equilibrium for calcium hydroxide. So we have calcium hydroxide, and the solubility equilibrium is just what happens when it dissolves. So the equilibrium expression is the Ksp expression. So we have Ca2 plus times OH minus squared. And then finding the molar mass of calcium hydroxide. I'm not going to bother doing that out for you because I know you know how to do it. So the molar mass should come out to be equal to 74.1 grams per mole. So we're skipping over number 1. Now we're going to do the same thing, well, the first 2 things, for a generic MOH2. Okay, so for metal 2 hydroxide. So MOH2 gives you M2 plus 2OH minus. And so our Ksp looks like this. All right, so now number 4 has to do with this generic MOH2. These calculations will help us set up our data table because we'll know what calculations we'll be looking for. So then when we are actually doing the lab, we'll have a data table that does this all for us. So the pH of a saturated metal solution was determined to be 11.93. Calculate the Ksp. So this is method 1 that we're going to be doing in the lab. Method 1 is just finding the pH. So to find the OH minus concentration, you first have to find the POH. So, because we're given the pH. So the pH is 11.93. You know the POH is 14 minus the pH. So here, that's going to be equal to 2.07. Okay, and this goes back to just those pH, POH rules that we talked about. Now, to find the OH concentration, it is 10 to the negative POH. So since we have our POH, we do 10 to the negative 2.07. Which comes out to be this. So that's the concentration of OH minus. And then B says, what's the concentration of M2 plus? Okay, so you can do a rice box for this if you want, but I think at this point, you've probably done enough Ksp to know that if this is your Ksp expression, your OH concentration is going to be 2S, and your M2 plus is going to be S, right? So it's whatever this is, whatever your OH minus concentration is, divided by 2. So divided by 2, that will be your M2 plus concentration. So then Ksp, you just plug in those concentrations to your Ksp expression. So for this one, it would be 3.1 times 10 to the negative 7. So this is going to be method 1. And when you look at the second part of this video where I do the data table, you're going to see how we enter all of these formulas that we just did into Google Sheets. So now let's take a look at method 2. So here we're going to have 25 mils of saturated metal 2 hydroxide. All right, so for method 2, we're first going to figure out what the concentration of M2 plus is, okay? So to do that, we have to figure out the molarity or the concentration of calcium hydroxide first, okay? So we have our grams of calcium hydroxide. And we can figure out the moles by using the molar mass. So that would be this metal plus OH twice for hydroxide twice over 1 mole. And that's going to be then divided by your liters. So that comes out to be 4.21 molar of CaO, oh, sorry, not Ca for this one, of MOH2. Now, because for M, every 1 mole of MOH2 we have 1 mole of M2 plus. This is also the concentration of M2 plus. For OH, we need to take 2 of that. Which comes out to be this. And then for Ksp, you just plug those into your Ksp expression. So your M2 plus times OH minus squared. So now we're going to take this and also apply it to our data table. All right, so here is what your data table should look like. So you're going to have 2 methods. We're going to do 2 methods of finding Ksp. So make sure you have 2 sections on your data table. And we're going to set this up so that it does all the calculations for you. So go ahead and just type this stuff in, method 1 and method 2. For method 2, make sure you have all the stuff on the bottom that I have to scroll down to see. So you can pause the video, type all that in, and then come back when you're ready to start typing. Okay. So your pH, you're going to enter after you take the pH in the lab. So you might already have that because this should be done after we did that. So you can type it in right here. You don't have to. We can also add it in tomorrow if you left the lab at school or something. For pOH, we're going to take 14. So you're going to do minus and then 14, comma, and then you can just click this box, close the parentheses. So that will find your pOH because it will take 14 and subtract the pH. So you can see right here it's 14 because I don't have a pH there. Okay. Now to find the OH minus concentration, you can't do superscripts or subscripts in Google Sheets, so that's why it looks funny. But for the OH minus concentration, you have the POH. So to find the OH minus, we do 10, and then you do the little caret for the exponent, negative, and then you can just click B4. That's going to give us the OH minus concentration. For Ca2 plus, it's going to be whatever OH minus is divided by 2. Because we have 2 OH minuses for every 1 Ca2 plus in our calcium hydroxide. So we'll do equals divide B5, you can click that, comma 2. Close parentheses, enter. Don't do that. So now for Ksp, you know it's going to be Ca times OH squared. So the concentration of Ca2 plus times the concentration of OH minus squared. So you can do equals multiply. And it's going to be this one, comma, and then you can click this one and do the little caret squared and then close the parentheses. So what you're going to want to do, and your numbers will be very different because you'll actually have a pH in here. What you're going to want to do next is highlight all of these, and if yours already doesn't have scientific notation, you go to Format, Number, Scientific. So if it's not already in scientific, do that. Just highlight all 3 of them, Format, Number, Scientific, because you might end up with like zeros or something because the numbers are so small, and that is fine. So once you put it in scientific notation, it will come up. So now for method 2, the mass of the beaker is going to be something you enter. You might already have that. You can go ahead and throw it in. The volume of your saturated calcium hydroxide, also you are going to add that in. So just a note, it needs to be in liters for the rest of our formulas to work because we're going to be finding molarity. Mass of the beaker, you'll get at class. And then we can use this information to find the mass of the dry calcium hydroxide. So what we're going to do to find the mass is subtract. So we'll do minus and then we would do whatever this one is, comma, the mass of the beaker. Molar mass we found in the PreLab, so you can go ahead and enter that in as well. We don't need a calculation for that, we already found it. So then we'll do the moles. To find the moles, you're going to divide the mass, which is B14, so you can click that, divided by the molar mass. And I'm going to get divided by 0. If you don't have these numbers from your first day of the lab, that's okay, you'll get that too, but it's fine. When we type it all in class, you will be good to go. So now for the molarity, you're going to take that moles and divide it by the liters. So we will do equals divide this number, comma, liters was 12. Okay. This one, The molarity of calcium hydroxide and the molarity of Ca2 plus are the same, because for every 1 calcium hydroxide, we get 1 Ca2 plus. So you can do equals and then just click that. For OH minus, it's going to be the calcium, the Ca2 plus, times 2. So you can do multiply this one, comma, 2. And then for Ksp, it's going to be the same formula, but we're going to use our new numbers for our second method. So it will be B18, comma, B19, caret 2. Okay? What you can do for these, again, and all of mine are divided by 0 right now, but you can go ahead and highlight them, go up to Format, Number, Scientific. Nothing's going to change here now, but once we have numbers in there, that will change. So that should be your whole data table.